The Skull. Marston was a little bit bored with the whole affair. All through dinner, Hammond, his host for the weekend, had explained with quite needless detail how his spade had dug up the skull, while he was making the foundations for a rock garden, how he'd washed and polished it, and was going to have a glass case made for it. Now he'd actually gone to fetch the beastly thing, and would no doubt expect Marston, who was a surgeon, to hold a sort of unofficial post-mortem. Hammond returned in a moment, bearing his trophy with comical care. But Marston, after a few conventional remarks, suggested that, as it was getting late, he would make a detailed examination in the morning, when the light would be better. Whereupon the two men parted for the night. Marston took the skull up to his room and placed it on the dressing-table by the window. The latter was closed, for it was a bitterly cold night, and the surgeon was glad of the fire that blazed cheerfully in the grate. He put some more coals on, and presently, after a last cigarette, switched off the light, and was soon fast asleep. What feeling of vague oppression awoke him, or what strange noise, Marston never knew. But awake he did, to find the fire out and the room cold and cheerless. The moon shone fitfully, obscured by scudding black clouds. The only sound in the world was a faint scrabbling at the window panes, which Marston attributed to the creepers outside. He sat up in bed, and the action brought the dressing-table into sight. Sick and faint with horror, Marston fell back, burying his face in the pillows. Then, summoning up all his courage to face the ghastly vision, he sat up again. The skull, faintly phosphorescent now, was covered with flesh and skin, crowned with a tangle of coarse hair, while blood dripped slowly from the severed neck. The muscles rippled, and the closed lips and eyes made desperate efforts to open. Marston always declared that if the eyes of that awful bestial face had opened and looked into his, nothing could have saved his reason. Suddenly the clouds cleared away, and the moon shone clear and cold, revealing the source of the scrabbling at the window panes. A hairy arm and hand, with coarse spatulate fingers, shot up and patted feebly at the window, yet with a sort of desperate strength, as though seeking an entrance. Then the arm fell back, exhausted, and the face was still, but for a moment only. A sudden convulsive effort of will seemed to imbue it with fiendish life. Two hands clutched the window-sill, slowly raising the trunk. Just as the bleeding, headless neck appeared above the level of the sill, the head gave one ghastly jerk and fell with a crash to the floor, and the fingers relaxed their hold. Marston fainted. The sun was streaming in at the window when the maid entered the room with the morning tea. "Lor, you've fallen out of bed and slept on the floor, and the sculls fell off and broke itself. Oh, and the gardener says there was a heap of bones under the window to be swept away. Or was you wanting to keep them, please, sir?"